Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the third episode of Season 2 of First Draft Films. Oh, sorry, Brooke. I said it instead of you.
That's okay. I always forget.
What's the name of our podcast?
First Draft Films, from indie to Hollywood.
Good job, you remembered. And so today we have a guest with us. We have the wonderful Jerry Beam himself.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm just upset that she's the only one with a red chair. The rest of us have to have.
You mentioned this now after the recording.
I didn't want to be rude. Oh yeah.
So we'll get started with a quick fact from each of us.
Oh.
My quick fact of the day has nothing to do with anything, but giraffes apparently are 30 times more likely than people to be struck by lightning.
30 times.
Yeah, I mean,
If they're 30 times higher than a person, they're not, but that would be really tall giraffe. Jerry, what's your fact?
So I learned this today. Evidently, a Hammond is I always thought that was a kind of piano. It turns out it's a brand of piano, and I think it's kind of similar to like how people say like a Roland, they're meaning like a drum machine, but Roland is actually a brand, or someone say like a.
Oh, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, or someone say like a Whirly. It's also like a brand. They also say like what's the other really good one? Anyway, I guess and the way this one works, it's like or at least the way it used to work, the way it gets like the wobbly sound is actually like a fan that does, like if you just play it regularly, it just like sounds normal until that like fan kicks in and it kind of like makes the airflow, and it's really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really
I've never
cool.
heard of that.
When you use like analog instrument like effects and stuff like that, it gets all like it just adds like an extra layer to it that's just like very mechanical but very like human, but it's very natural. It just adds an extra thing to it, which versus like using virtual instruments. But anyway, it's
nice.
It's
cool.
Yeah,
that is really cool. Yeah, I've never heard of a Hammond.
Yeah.
A piano with a fan that like, ooh, and it sounds good. It's like a church.
I want to hear that now. I'll have to look that up.
You kind of think like a country music, like choir kind of sound. It's not quite like an organ, but it's a little bit like a ooh, and you're just like like it's
nice.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Wow, my fact is, I don't know, a little bit dark.
But fitting.
Yes. So my fact is that the odds of children being kidnapped by strangers are, 1 in 720,000, which is actually pretty low if you think about it.
Right.
And it is actually National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So kind of fitting on point for that. So
Don't trust no one.
Well, yeah. Well, don't trust no one. Yeah. I feel like that's like definitely like the attitude that a lot of like our parents had and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then I guess the evidence shows that it's fairly safe. It's probably safer now than it was back then. It's just that now it's with the internet and stuff, it's more we know about it more.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's everywhere. It feels like when we hear one case, we like, I think I remember my parents telling me like, be careful about your like Halloween candy because of that one like pixie stick murder. I think it was just one, but like
it seems like every year
thing.
there's like some new thing of like be aware.
Yeah, I guess you can never be too safe, but like.
I mean, yeah, awareness all around is pretty much always good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's good to know what happens less than you would think.
Yeah. And I've also heard, and this is the really sad one, is that because people are always thinking like, oh, strangers would kidnap our children. Well, that's actually, I mean, yes, it happens, but it's very rare. It's more often for children to be abused or trafficked by somebody they know closely, sometimes even a family, which is just.
Which I don't know. That's a good thing or bad.
No, it's not.
I was like, is that a good or is that bad? It's. I think it's just bad. No.
Yeah. It's just,
Anyway, I know. Anyway.
Today's topic is entrepreneurship. So a little background. Homelink drama, spring of 2017. That's when we first knew each other. Les Mis, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was Thénardier. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. So if there's like theater people listening, please don't get mad at me. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It's French. It's Thénardier or something.
I think it's Thénardier. Or is it? Wait, no. It's spelled with a TH, but French. I think you.
I think
you're pretty close.
It was a very fun role. I was playing an abusive husband
and I was the wife. I was Madame.
That's true.
Yes, remember? I was Madame Thénardier, and you were Mr. Thénardier.
That was fun. That was okay. I shouldn't say that.
No, it was.
It was fun being that character, not yeah. Anyway,
I just remember the opening scene of that was like you were carrying a bucket that was supposed to have slops, and then it was empty, of course, and you go and you like throw it over the audience, and the audience was like,
oh man, that was fun.
and there's this one with you playing the abusive husband role. You were like threatening to like hit me at one point, and I just like would laugh every time. I think I like cracked a smile even during performance. It was, I don't know, it was just so hard. So anyway, that's how I met you, and then a few years later, I think, I forget how, but I brought you on board for Tatooine Trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
so fun, man.
So yeah, so those of you who've seen Tatooine Trouble will recognize Jerry here as Zinoist.
Yeah, the dreads have gotten longer.
They have.
That's fun.
Yeah, my contact pic of you is actually like that. Remember that photo shoot we did with everybody in their costumes?
Oh, okay.
So that's the contact pic I have for you. So yeah, definitely shorter dreads.
Making me feel like my best days are behind me.
Oh come on,
That's just the beginning.
So you've had so entrepreneurship is our topic. So we brought you on to talk about. I mean, you Heist Tribe. You're also you make music and stuff like that. You kind of do like a whole bunch of stuff, like serial entrepreneur. I'd almost say. So, what wisdom do you have?
Well,
or what do you?
Well, that's
like?
very interesting because maybe that's like a really broad definition of entrepreneurship.
I know it's
and I don't mind it, but maybe that's why I've always kind of hated the like label or something like that, because like everyone who's doing something or being like a social media influencer wants to call themselves an entrepreneur, which is okay, but which is okay, but and that's why I started to think about it. I was like, what is in entrepreneurship? It's like, is it just providing a service? Because then like an OnlyFans person can be an entrepreneur. is it like providing value? Because like a gym bro who's kind of like, never skip a day, guys, and like he's like, press harder, no, don't skip a day. He could be like he could be providing value. He could be an entrepreneur, and some people they consider themselves entrepreneurs. They do those types of things, and I can't hate on it. But it's like I think maybe being an entrepreneur is
it has to do with being self-employed.
It's being self-employed and like solving a problem. Not just like providing a service or providing value, but like actually like solving a problem, innovating in a way. It's and so that's why it often involves self-employment, because you're doing something that hasn't been done before. So you're operating outside of things that don't systems and things that don't exist at the moment. So yeah, and I think that's like an entrepreneur. It's someone who's like, hey, this hasn't been done, but then there's a lot of things that have already been done. So it's more like, hey, this hasn't been done to this degree or with this efficiency, or this could be done better. So it's not just providing a service and providing value. I feel like it's someone who solves a problem, makes things easier. I think a good mark of a good entrepreneur is making it easier for entrepreneurs that follow them. Like if the world, like if it's not better or easier for the next person, you're not really an entrepreneur just because you're off doing your own thing. That makes you, that's like props to you for going off and doing your own thing, but like I believe entrepreneur is someone who's filling a need, solving a problem.
Yeah. I love that. Entrepreneurship is innovation. And paving the way for the future. Right. I love it. Yeah. So tell us a little bit how you got started in this world. What was your first, second, etc.? What brought you here?
I think it's kind of interesting. There's like a lot of ways people can get into it. They can get into it obviously by like saying, hey, I want to like make money, or hey, I want to like, and so like I'm going to invent something, which that works. Capitalism, it works. But for most people, I think it's like they see something that affected them personally, and so it's kind of just like that, and that's why maybe I have such a narrow definition of entrepreneurship, because I was interested in making clothes, so I just started like making clothes because I liked it, but I wouldn't necessarily call myself an entrepreneur at that time because I'm not really solving a problem, and then eventually progress into where I do want to like make clothes more sustainable. I want to like, so I've kind of come up with, I don't even want to talk about it because it's like, oh, my little secret or whatever, like my little innovation that, but in my mind, I'm instead of, I realize, I just came a point when I was in my clothing business where I'm like, well, people don't really need another clothing business. What makes it like special? And I could like, have these different graphics that nobody else has before or something like that. I could even package it in a way that like it's kind of cool and novel, like put it in a can or a cereal box, like, ooh, you know,
Oh, that's
fun. Yeah, that's fun, you know. But it's like, but what problem am I solving? So I'm thinking, well, I like clothes that last. The reason I buy a car and I wear a car because it will last for a long time is like, well, that's a good thing. So that's a value I want to have. And also like sustainability, like the world doesn't need another clothing brand. So instead of making clothes, instead of putting my graphics on like new garments, I thrift. Let me. It was a build
You're doing the thing where you forget to breathe. I do that too.
Yeah. So I put my garments on like thrifted clothes now, and then or I just sell like the iron-on graphic.
Oh, okay.
So people can kind of have. So it's so at one point, not only is that like solving a problem, it's at the same time kind of like putting me in a niche that is kind of I'm more of a niche for like, you know, so people who like they're more into like sustainability or DIY and stuff like that. So now they can get like the graphics and they can put it on like whatever garment they want, which is not only more like fun for them if you're into that, but it's also like more sustainable. And it's I feel like it's solving a problem. And my is like, oh, I want to make clothes. Okay, but what is that actually solving? What am I actually like doing? And so it's like, well, this is what I actually want to solve. So this is how I'm going to do it. So I think so. Yeah, a lot of good entrepreneurs, or how a lot of people start with entrepreneurship, is long-winded. They just try to. They're solving a problem. They solve a problem for themselves, and then they want to teach other people how to do that, or they want to provide for other people and make it easier for them. And so it's just kind of that. It was just like, hey, I just had an interest, and then when you do an interest, just like the hero's journey of like a story. If you have an interest and you have a goal, there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be some kind of friction. So you're going to run across problems, and then like what makes you an entrepreneur is you solve those problems, and then hopefully you make it easier for people. So so it's not like, I don't think I intended to be an entrepreneur. I don't even call myself an entrepreneur, but I think that's how a lot of people become entrepreneurs, is they want to solve problems, or they end up solving problems.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So maybe a good entrepreneur is a good teacher.
Yeah, what's that one quote? I forget who said it, but it's like, if you can't teach it to a 6-year-old, you don't know it yourself. And I think like that's kind of what you were saying, is like, if you're not a real entrepreneur if you're not able to like actually do it in a way that other people can follow and understand and build upon. Yeah.
And I think that's really for this modern day and age of 2024, it's a lot easier to do that now because everything's becoming so decentralized. It's not like, because hotels are becoming Airbnbs and taxis are becoming Ubers and Lyfts, and there's so much more agency that we as individuals have in this century than we like even 20 years ago. So it's easier to like bring somebody alongside you versus like, oh, I'm just going to employ you. I'm going to show you how to do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I guess.
And then a lot of people fear that because they think, oh, that means more people are doing that's more competition. But like, you can also view that as, oh, that's more chances for you to win. Like if you can do it better than those people, then you have done it better than those people. Or just and it's already easy to win because just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean it's easy. So if everybody's doing it, half of the people, most people are going to fail at it. So all you got to do is be a weekend savage. All you got to do is just be a tick above normal to be a tick above more successful. So it's like there's a lot of competition, but that means there's a lot more opportunities to show your mettle, be worth your salt.
Because in a way, kind of like some fields are becoming saturated, kind of. So then, with like subpar or mediocrity, that's the word. Yeah.
I mean, saturated is only if you think that it cannot be
if you think there's no more
upon,
room
approved upon, but there's always room to do better. Like the reason Amazon is so big is because Jeff Bezos found a way to like deliver people anything they wanted very fast. So imagine if you could deliver something everybody wanted even faster. Then it's like you think Amazon already claims that whole space, but like it's saturated. There's all these different kind of e-commerce places, but if you can go in that same space if you just do it better, faster. It's like like Prime, maybe it gets to you in one day. What if you had a service you could deliver to people in 1 hour? So, so it's hard, but like that is the constant push. Like we think these places are like saturated, but they're really not. Like it just takes some innovation, some entrepreneurship, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome.
Sorry, my bad. I said something. I said worth your salt, which, like, fun fact, I'm just remembering is like evidently Roman soldiers were paid in like salt. So that's where that term comes from. Yeah, I mean, because salt was very rare, which is weird because they're living by like the Dead Sea, right, or like these other places, these other seas that are like full of salt. But evidently, salt was a really rare like resource back then. So that's why they're paid in salt, and that's why the term worth your salt.
That could have been your fact, but I guess
it just popped up.
You're just full of facts.
It just popped up. I
love it.
It's just weird. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Nice.
Now I'll think of that every time that I have salt. This could have been my paycheck.
I'm a very wealthy Roman.
Yeah. There you go, thinking about Rome all the time.
Oh gosh.
Oh, so you have a clothing business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about that. Tell us, like, you said you thrift for your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's very interesting because even I come across as I'm like just talking about saturation, everything like, oh, you can do it better, but like talk about a saturated market is clothing. It seems like and I still haven't really cracked it yet, but I think it is just like having enough things that set you apart, and I don't really think, aside from like weird like arbitrary like clout, I don't think there's a space for clothing brands to be these big ubiquitous like things that they are now. Like you're never gonna get another Nike where like, I think Nike's like the top like clothing manufacturer. That's not gonna happen. But what you're gonna do now is just like build a very big clothing brand off of a very small amount of people who are very like hyped about your stuff. Like it's never really gonna be everyone's gonna like your stuff. It's like there's not really space for that anymore. But that's okay because I think that's kind of like the game of clothing now. It's just kind of
like more niche.
Yeah, finding a niche. And it's like, what niche do you even go for now? Because all these niches have been filled, so it's almost like you gotta just do that niche but better, but faster. But
invent a new niche.
Yeah, or just or just like, and that's the thing. Inventing a new niche is like you can do that. Like, and that's the thing. I didn't really look for a niche. My niche was me. And there's no other person like you out there, but there are other people out there. So like if you invent a niche for yourself, if you invent or you make things for yourself, there will be other people who are drawn to it. And that's how you find your niche. It's like, so like, again, it's like, this is a problem that I'm facing. This is something I care about. And there's all these different things that make you have the values you have. So when you solve that, that's kind of like your niche. So you kind of should be your niche, at least clothing, because it's such a saturated market. It's like, it's like you can't go to skateboarders, you can't go to athletic people because they already have these things. So it's like, well, what do I care about? And there's probably going to be a few hundred people who also care about those things.
Yeah, there's a saying in writing, you write what you know, and it sounds like that's exactly the same thing in business. Like, build upon what you know, see the problems in your own life and figure out how to solve them, and then show everyone the solution.
And it's because it's there's people who they might there's something your thing that you create might work better for them than something else that already exists.
The making products for yourself or whatever, that also reminds me of, because it's kind of similar in film, and I don't know if I think overall we tend to kind of follow this philosophy too of like we're making movies that we would like. We're not trying to be like, oh, we are trying to reach, I mean, not necessarily, I don't know.
There's an element of I think this audience would like this, but ultimately
it's like, what do
we want to watch? What are we not seeing in movies that we want? And then we're just trying to make those.
Them. Yeah.
And it's very interesting. You wonder, is it like some esoteric thing where like people are attracted to your authenticity, or is it simply that like maybe you're not so special? like maybe you have a certain you have interest and you have these things that make you, but there's actually a lot of people out there who have those same experiences and resonate with that, and that's nice to feel. But then it's also nice, or it's also just as likely that maybe that people don't identify exactly or know like the intent or they exactly identify with you, but just like your authenticity, they resonate with that. And maybe it's both.
Yeah.
But it's definitely it's kind of a little bit of a tangent, but like, you know, just like you see kids like these days, they're like wearing like these outrageous like clothes. It's just like, they're just like, where did you come up with that? Or just like, or like memes, or like Gen Z humor is just so weird and wacky, but it almost comes from like a place of like, there are no rules. Like there's just like, everything under the sun has already been created. So just stop trying to create something that hasn't been done before, or even don't even think about, like, don't let that enter the equation. Just create, just make, and like it's going to resonate with some people, just because like you can't, it's as an artist, or like an entrepreneur, it's kind of debilitating, and it sucks to think that like I won't be able to be original, or I if I try to create something that's already been created before. But it's also kind of like a freeing thought. It's like, if everything's been created, there's no like goal, there's no statutes, there's no
there's
code.
no finish line.
There's no code. It's just like hey man, if it's all been done before, then why are you just do, you know? Just do, and then like maybe you will create something that no one's done before, but like that wasn't the goal, but that doesn't need to be the goal. And I think it's almost like that weird, I think it's a paradox of some sort. I don't know what it's called, but it's like when you try to do something, the more kind of farther away it is. Like if you are always trying to be happy, you're always thinking, I need to be happy, well, you're not being happy by doing that. If you're thinking, I need to be great, I need to be rich, or something like that, it's probably, you're just only like affirming the fact of like that you're not what you want. If you just like let go of that and just kind of just be, just kind of create, just kind of do, and stop trying to like avoid or reach a certain goal and just kind of exist. It's like, hey man, like something's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
I have a friend named Lachelle who owns a candle business called Ello Candle, and she sells on Etsy, and every time you get a shipment from her, she includes this card. On the one side is like instructions, like information about the candles and stuff. On the other side, there's a beautiful picture of some flowers and a quote from C.S. Lewis, which I'll paraphrase by saying, he talks about people are always trying to be original, but and people, oh man, I'm just butchering this whole thing.
It's on your fridge.
It's on my fridge. I know,
yeah,
it is.
It's pretty much exactly what Jerry just said. Like, don't try to be original, because you're going to end up being unoriginal. So,
but the
just
second half of that was, if you try something, what did he say?
Essentially, if you be authentic to yourself, you will inevitably be original. It's
something like
legitimately
that.
what
So you and C.S. Lewis are on the same
right, the same kind of like thing of like, if you shoot for the moon, you're gonna land somewhere, but if you shoot for the stars, you at least land on the moon type of, you know. It's weird how we kind of have to enumerate and think about these things and enunciate them, but like in the end, they're kind of like universal age-old truths, and it's so weird how we have to rediscover them every once in a while.
I wonder if like Shakespeare or Moliere or something ever had thoughts like these.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this story's been done a million times, but like I'm just gonna do it this way.
Yeah.
What's the thing from the court jester? Oh, we asked Shakespeare and Francis Bacon, did they declare which one wrote this? And they both said, get out of there. The opening credits. I don't know. Have you seen that movie?
No.
What is it called? What's it called? The Court Jester. Danny Kaye. I showed it to Brooke one time.
It's
I don't
fantastic.
know what you remember. It's one of my favorites. It's just ridiculous.
Yep.
Ridiculous movie. But anyway.
It's good.
It's yeah.
But yeah, no, I bring that up because like at any point in time, you know, looking back on history, we can see all the innovations and all the things that have happened. But like in the decades leading up to that, to the light bulb, who was thinking like, I wish there was another way for light. I wish electricity, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Like
you can
maybe a couple people, but like,
yeah, you can't really make order from order. You have to make order from chaos. You have to find something that's like disorganized and organize it in a way. So if we're always searching for like, okay, this makes sense, how can I make it make more sense? It's like, well, it's already been thought of. It already makes sense. It's like anything that was logical was already been thought of, because it's thinkable. If it's been thinkable, it's been thought. If it's able to be thunk of, it's been thought. You know, so it's like you gotta just kind of feel. you gotta take from the unruly parts, the tangled up chaos, the like the esoteric, the like what you're thinking, you feel, you can't describe that feeling, but you pull out and you make that shot. And it's like I like that. I don't know why I like that, but I like that, and it looks good, and it looks good to me, I suppose. And so, and the artist's subject is chaos.
Yeah, I feel like it takes a lot of courage too to be able to look outside that box and see something and not be afraid to go after it. Because, like, I mean, using the example of the light bulb, imagine if Thomas Edison thought up the light bulb and was like, that's too crazy, I'm not going to do that. Like, where would we be?
You have to come from, you have to come from a crazy place, a kind of unreasonable.
Honestly,
you can't arrive there from a reasonable place. You have to come from like an unreasonable place to create something.
Yeah, got to be a little crazy.
You can't make order out of order.
Yep.
So is that why just all artists are just mentally ill or something?
I'm not mentally ill.
I definitely am. I feel like there is honestly a touch of truth to that, like the idea of like artists and mentally ill kind of being related in some ways. First thing comes to mind is Van Gogh. Like some of the most beautiful pieces
Van Gogh.
Right. Yeah. So amazing pieces of art, but extremely disturbed. But like what average person at that time period could come up with something so beautiful? You know, you have to be a little bit something in order to see beyond what everyone else sees.
And to even make the attempt to create something great or to do something, because if you're just stuck in your little life of like, oh, I don't know, I'm just going to be practical, or I'm just going to be a good little person, I don't know, go to college and get, I don't know,
play the safe route.
A business degree.
Have either of you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I'm familiar with the concept.
No, I need to.
It's so good. It's that concept of like, do you play it safe or do you go for it? Do you have courage and see the opportunities?
Right.
It's great. Right. Yeah. You have the clothing business. Do you have any other businesses? Are you helping out with anything else?
No, it's almost like shameful in a way. It's like I just liked like doing things with clothes, and people said you should do that, and I was like, oh, I should.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that, and then I'm like, well, you can't just have a clothing business. You gotta like market it, but I don't want to like be on Facebook and marketing. It was like, that's not what I got to do. It was like, well, and then I heard that coach said like, you know, the thing that you do when you're procrastinating is probably the thing you should be doing for everything. And I'm like, well, I like to think a lot, and I like to like spout things when it builds up too much, and it's like too much like things that I just need to like say, like beam it out into the world. And
is
like,
that like the long Instagram videos?
Yeah, bro.
About, like philosophy or whatever.
Right. Just like, you know, here's a thought. Just no one needs to hear it type of thing, but just like you know, and it's very pretentious. I wouldn't call myself a philosopher, but a philosopher does mean someone who's like always seeking the truth. So if you're always someone who's always trying to seek and think about the truth, you're a philosopher, I suppose, which is
philosopher, entrepreneur.
You can take that. Yeah, you can take that if you like, you know, want to call yourself a philosopher. That's cool. But you know, it's just I was like, oh, I like to talk, so I'm like, well, I'll just start a podcast because I like to talk, and that's fun. Like I like using video cameras and stuff like that. So, and what's one more thing? So
and by the time this comes out, your podcast will be released as well, so we'll be able to link people to that.
Hopefully,
yeah.
So it was kind of like okay, so I got a clothing brand, I need to market that. Well, how can I market that through a podcast? And so I was like, well, and I like the podcast, so it's like it all kind of just links together. And that's how a lot of things, like I'll find like kids who are like into skating, they're also like in the making music, and they're also into like making clothes. It's like it's almost like tightly knit. Like I know a lot of guys who are interested in all these three things. It's just something about it is like connected. Some elements of them just kind of bleed into the others, or have some kind of, I don't know what it is, but so yeah, it was kind of like, it was what I'm interested in podcasting, but it was like more like podcasting was like, well, I need to promote the clothing brand, so that's why I was saying it's kind of shameful. It's like it was kind of like, well, I got a brand, but I need to get out there, so then like maybe like promote it on the podcast, but also have a podcast because that's fun, and I might end up doing other things. And
all you need to do is wear your clothes, and then people will.
Yeah,
that's your number one
exactly.
Strategy.
Yeah,
that's why I need to buy more Granted merch.
Yeah, it's like it's okay. So it's so is it like again? So I never really set out to be like an entrepreneur, so I still don't really operate like that. But like just liking things, doing things, I'll run into problems. Hopefully I'll be the type of person who likes to again, leave like breadcrumbs for people who follow me, make it easier, help people, assist people. And actually, that's kind of what I do. Like when I was 12, I started like learning like music production and stuff like that. And just today, I was helping my brother record something, and that's, you know, because I'm a little more versed in that world, and so we started that, and so it's like and that was like something I started years ago, and I don't do it as much anymore, but it still came in handy. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship too. A lot of people get imposter syndrome. They're like, okay, if I'm doing this thing, I can't teach anybody about it because I've only been doing it for 4 months. But it's like, if you've been doing it for 4 months, there's someone who hasn't only been doing it for like 1 month. You can teach that person.
Yeah.
Like you people get imposter syndrome, but it's like, no, like if you're 4 months ahead, you have that 4 months experience on top of that. You can teach that person. You have authority in that subject. Maybe not more than someone who's been doing it 7 years, but you have authority in someone who hasn't been. So you can start your entrepreneurship, like I said, is like being a good teacher. It's being a good student and then being a good teacher. You learn, then you implement, you do, and hopefully you teach other people. And it's just like, yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
It was like a cycle of benefiting
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
and humanity.
I love that.
So it comes in handy, whatever. So again, yeah, I didn't really like, I don't have like businesses necessarily, but I just do things.
I do a lot of things.
I do things. Yeah.
And you also act a little bit now and then.
Yeah. I don't know what it was about acting that I liked, because I don't think I particularly like acting. I think I'd like acting. Maybe I like acting in movies more, but maybe not. Maybe I like theater more, I think. But I think I'm even more drawn to more just the production of theater. Like I like the lights. I like having a camera, so maybe I would be in more movies. And it's weird because like I'm an okay actor, and like me and my brother, we do sketch comedy. Like we just like, not like we film it, but just like our whole lives we just like do improv. Like it's just a thing. We just like, my brother's like, Jerry, what if like this? He comes up with a ridiculous situation, and then we just instantly start like riffing. Just like it's just like, you know, just we instantly just start riffing.
I want to see this.
Yes, ending, and it's just kind of fun. We just have fun like that. So it's like in that way we're like practicing like acting in a way, you know, and I like doing accents. It's just a thing I like. So I guess
my mom talks highly about what was
accent?
it, Little Women or something?
Oh my!
Were you in Little Women?
Yeah,
and you played the German guy.
I heard a German, and I didn't think it was kind of a Frenchy German, but it was okay German.
Can you give us a demonstration?
Yeah, if you're talking about accents.
So I learned it from like the Shreks I learned it from the 3 pigs from Shrek. Like, yeah, they'd be like, yeah, they only talk like this, and they have a chance, and they talk about the bacon. So I kind of tried to do something like that, but less goofy. So I tried to talk like that, but it was a romantic role, so it was kind of came a little French at sometimes. But if you really want me to do a really gemmed up job in accents, I can do that. It's like
That's awesome. So I know who to contact for voiceover work.
There we go.
So yeah,
that's awesome.
Just so I guess I don't know if I'm really an actor, but I act sometimes, and I haven't done a production in a long time. But yeah, just I guess doing accents, acting out things is fun, but I'm not necessarily an actor. I like bringing characters to life, so I even have an interest in like writing some screenplays, but I don't have the patience for it, stuff like that. So it's always it's weird. It's also, that's also a frustrating thing about being an artist or an entrepreneur. It's like you can have a lot of interest, but that they don't all pan out, or they're not all fully fleshed. They're just like, I like to do this and I'm drawn toward this and I kind of put a lot of time into it, but at the end of the day I don't want to actually do this. Like, so it's like, it's just a lot of time and effort wasted. But like, is anything ever wasted if you're living? So you're living, so you're doing, you know, do.
It's true.
Do. Yeah. Like if you only like, if you think you want to do acting for a year and realize it's not for you, and you only like things about acting, and you just want to hang around actors and do a production, like it's just like, you know, do everything you can.
Something.
Yeah, do everything you can while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like, don't be afraid of getting locked into something, or don't let that fear of getting stuck doing something stop you from
doing it.
Yeah, because pretty much anything in life you can just be like, nope, this wasn't for me, and go try something else.
But it hopefully and usually it ends up like benefiting you in some other way. Like,
oh yeah,
you wouldn't know it, but like maybe your little stint in acting helps you be a better musician. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen that a lot. You know, friends of mine try out improv acting. It's not for them, but it helps them gain confidence to do something else or something like that. Yeah. Well, before we get too long in the podcast here, Jerry, what are you watching currently, or what have you watched recently?
I don't watch a lot of movies or shows. I almost feel like a pretentious cinephile, but there's very like little movies that like interest me. But when it does, and I watch it. Not watching anything currently, but something I did watch recently that was really good is Blue-Eyed Samurai on Netflix. It's really good, and also like Saltburn. It's one of those very artsy. But it was almost intentionally artsy, so it was almost like obnoxious because it was intentionally artsy. But it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Where'd you watch Saltburn?
Where did I watch it? I just watched it at home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like on the internet.
Yeah, on the internet. Yeah. It is so weird because evidently I didn't know it was a big thing because we just saw the preview and I was like, that's like up my alley. Oh well, no, it's not.
I've heard it's a very messed up movie. I don't know why.
No, it's not up my alley. But like it was very much my vibe, and I was like, I'm not gonna like this. This is gonna be one of those like artsy movies that I'm going to like squirm, but it's going for the end of it. I'm gonna be like, so, and it was kind of like a, you know what? It was good. You know, I guess there's a difference between good and like compelling. It was very compelling. It was very compelling. It was one of those movies. It was like I don't know if I'd watch it again, but I'm glad and that's the same thing with horror movies. And a lot of horror movies aren't really horror movies these days. Yeah. But like that's kind of the importance of like horror movies or like just things that kind of mess with your head a little bit. It's because like we kind of need to explore the dark areas. You know, you don't want to just have a basement, like our minds have a basement. We got to go down there and poke around. You don't want to be oblivious to what's down there. You want to kind of probe those areas, and cinema provides a safe space to do that. Nice. You know, to explore the.
No, yeah. No, I get what you're trying to say, and I completely agree. That's one of the things I really enjoy about film is it is that safe space to explore the human mind, explore these things that like you can't really do many other places.
Right. Yeah. Literature maybe, like maybe a book, but just kind of do some cleaning down there.
Clean out your basement, go watch a movie.
There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kate and I are still watching AOS, Alchemy of Souls.
Yeah. We thought we were going to finish, I think it's season 1, but we got halfway through and we were like, oh shoot, we have to go record the podcast now.
We were trying to finish it to give you a good review and we failed.
Yeah, I really, really like it so far.
It's so good.
It's so good.
If you like a lot of plot lines all converging in a really good way that isn't super confusing or really confusing at all, yes, watch Alchemy of Souls. It's on Netflix. Yep.
It sounds like Alchemy of Souls. It kind of sounds like it's a lot of like,
It's very fantastical, and the characters are fantastic.
So good.
It's really good. What are you working on?
Yes. I'm working on myself.
Yeah, same.
Just more of the same, but better. Hopefully, just those things. There's the things I mentioned, and I'm helping my brother. Record his
who's your brother?
My brother, James Beam on
little local celebrity.
On all socials, country singer guy. Helping him produce his first album, so you'll probably enjoy listening to that more than me. So definitely go check him out.
Yeah, we can link his stuff.
I can attest he has an incredible voice. He comes and sings at the restaurant I work at sometimes, and I love getting to work the nights that he sings because it's so much fun.
I'm gonna tell him that. Never mind, he don't need it. He's a Gemini. He's got a bigger ego enough.
Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we are working on the Isabel project. It is so close to being done.
So close. We just turned it over to
Nope, we didn't.
Well, we're about to turn it over. Technical difficulties all over the place, but we're about to turn it over to our guy for color grading and color correcting. So we're like this close.
That might be my favorite part of editing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that might be my favorite part. I'm not no good at it at all. Like it's definitely like it's an art in itself.
Oh yeah.
But when you just take like raw footage and then you yeah.
See, that's what Brooke does, and I have no idea how any of it works.
Yeah.
Like you with like, oh, everything looks green. Like, yeah, it looks a little bit green, but probably to you it looks like way green. To me, it just looks like, I'm like,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, this clip looks more pink than the other one. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
It just looks the same. Yeah, and I'm still writing the script for Jane. I pulled that out yesterday. I think did some more work on it. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Making my way toward the end.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Well, before we run too long here, do you have any last pieces of advice or wisdom or anything you want to share to anyone looking to be an entrepreneur, solve problems, and do that sort of thing?
No, I'm not. I don't generate wise ideas by myself. I steal them from books I read. So,
Well, hey,
so
we all read books.
maybe that's my advice. Steal more. Steal.
Or
read more books.
Yeah, read more. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that could be ambiguous. Steal more. That could be ambiguous.
I'm not gonna use that one as like as a reel.
Put that on your fridge.
Steal more.
Put that on your fridge.
I'm going to put that on my fridge in Sharpie. Steal more.
Bumper sticker. Yeah.
Is that gonna be your next design?
Ooh.
Steal more.
Steal more.
Yeah.
Fine print ideas. Well, that could get complicated too.
Oh man, with all this AI stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just.
Oof.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, well, thank you so much
Definitely,
for
guys.
coming
Thank
on
you,
the
guys. This is a
podcast.
good way to spend my evening. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Good.
agree. I
Yes.
agree. Okay, do you want to ask our fun little outro question for the audience?
Yes. Do you prefer or this is more divisive. If you had to choose only one or the other to ever go to on vacation ever again, would you choose beach or mountains?
Let's have Jerry answer first.
I love beaches, but I love mountains.
See, that's why it's hard because everybody loves both of them.
Well, maybe not everybody.
If I had to choose before, it'd be mountains, which is weird because we live here and it's like there's always mountains, but it'd be mountains, yeah.
Yeah. I think ultimately I agree. Like, I love the beach, but I don't think I could live without the mountains.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be the only one to say beach.
That's fair. I understand. It's a tough choice. So
Yeah.
let us know what you think in the comment, poll,
Yep.
whatever it is. Yeah, we want to hear beach or mountains.
Yes.
And thank you again for
Of course, guys.
coming on,
Thank
Jerry.
you, thank you.
And we'll see you next time, folks.
Yes. We always